Hey everyone, my name is Paul. Welcome to my shop. Some friends of mine are going to celebrate their 25th wedding anniversary, and I will be out of town, so I won't be able to attend their party, but I would like to make them a little gift box. But I have a slab of pecan here, and I can feel there's little ridges on the side. Might be like a curl, so I think that'll be nice to use. I'll make the top out of walnut, I think. It might just be saw marks, so I'm going to mill it up and have a look. I went to my local woodcraft. I picked up some hinges, and so now I know the thicknesses. So I'm going to go ahead and mill this up. And while I do a montage of that, I'm going to rant about hinges for a little bit. It seems like you either have absolute junk or you have Brusso on the other end of the spectrum. You really have to like someone a lot to put some Brusso hinges on something you're making for them. But I found these ones. They're high point. They're at Woodcraft, but they also have an Amazon. They're kind of mid-range, and they seem like they're good quality. They're nice and thick. They don't seem like they're bent right in the package. So I'm going to give them a whirl, but I'll leave a link to the High Point Amazon store. Although it doesn't seem to be curated very well, because I don't think I even found these ones on it. So I kept it for future reference. So I got 3 pieces milled up. I should only need 2 of them, but I keep one just in case. And then for the remaining 2, they're in order, so I'm going to flip them around. And now I have a continuous grain going around. I used my table saw to put a groove into the sides of the pieces for the bottom of the box. And that measures about 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch. And then I use my hand plane just to knock the machine marks off the part to save me some sanding in the future. The last thing I wanted to get done this evening was to get the numbers poured. So I use such little amounts of epoxy that I mix it by weight rather than by volume. I find that works better. And I had some white pearl pigment for it, so mix that up, and then I went ahead and poured those numbers. It's been a couple days since I poured this. It doesn't need a couple days. I use the Total Boat tabletop epoxy, which usually dries overnight. You can pour it up to about 1/8 of an inch thick. This is a little thicker. You can get away with that. But I'm going to use my scraper to take this down, and I'll get the top to its final thickness. Once I had the dimensions laid out on the top of the box, it was back to the table saw between the fence and my crosscut sled. I started getting the top to its final dimensions, although there was going to be a bit of fine adjustment required. Now that the lid fits the box close enough, it's time to start gluing up the box. And it's a small enough box that I'm just going to use the tape method and tape the corners together. The lid fits, but it's not exactly square inside the interior of the box, and so I'm just going to mark it out. I got a piece of steel here that's about 1/8 of an inch. My disc sander is already set up, so I think I'll use that to take this down a bit. With the lid inset into the box, now I can't really use the hinges unless I put them on top, and that's something I don't really think I'd like the look of. So I think I'll just have to round over the back so it can open and put some pins in through the sides. And in the meantime, while I'm thinking about that, I'm going to clean up these splines. If you have to pound in your splines, something's got wrong and you should probably stop. I didn't. But now I have these little gaps between the spline and the box. And there's a couple ways of filling those in. I can grab some walnut dust and some of the dark walnut glue that I have and just mix them together. I've also got this good filla in a bag. This one's walnut color. I'm not sure which way to go. I think I'm going to go with the good filla because it's easier to sand. I find the squirt bottle is pretty good for doing a measured amount of water in there. Another thing about it, it's like it's a little water phobic. So you gotta let it sit there for a minute before you add more water or add more powder. And I know that. Did I wait? No. I'm going to finish the box and the top separately, and I also wanted to drill the hole for the pin, which is going to act as the hinge, before I put a finish on it as well. And then when it's all done, I will put the lid in there and then just drill that out and then put the pins in. So I'm ready for a finish. I'm just going to use 100% tung oil. It's thinned a little bit with the citrus solvent. And it's kind of my go-to finish these days. Really simple, and it looks great. It's been about 10-15 minutes, so I just go ahead and give it a wipe, get rid of the excess. The downside of pure tung oil, it takes a while to dry, so it'll be probably 2-3 days, and I'll do another coat and then just let it sit there for a while. It's been 5 days since I put the tung oil on the box, so I think it's ready for a second coat, but I'm not going to put tung oil on it. I'm going to try the maintenance oil from Rubio Monocoat, and I normally will put that on to the Rubio products after 3 days to gives it a bit more shine. So I'm going to try it on a non-Rubio product. I'm going to try it on the bottom of the box first just to make sure. And just like Rubio, after 15 minutes, just wipe off the excess and it should be good to go. I'll give it 24 hours to dry, and then I'll put the pins in tomorrow. Alrighty, I'm ready to assemble this box. I've got some little brass pins that I cut, and I've got my drill taped to the length of the pins. I've got my shims, and I've got some playing cards here to wedge the top in place before I use the drill to drill through the holes I did earlier into the lid. Whoops. I had to make a little tool with some TIG filler rod to wedge the back spacer from the back here, but now it opens. So those are done. And everything looks like it's still nicely spaced. I think it turned out very nice. The pecan turned out a little darker than I had hoped, but that's fine. Walnut looks great, the 25, and plus I put their name on the inside. But yeah, I think they'll like it. Well, that wraps up this video. Hope you enjoyed it, maybe got something out of it. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.